for a lot of the bosses in Demon Souls, but I think for this one, staying long range and staying out there, because his weapon's reach is massive, and if it hits you, it is basically over in 2 hits. So yeah, using the pillars and the area.
Everything just feels like a test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out. But something deep inside won't let me quit.
Hey there peeps, what is going on? It's Miss C.O.Z here, and we're back with another Demon Souls video here. As you know, I have recently ended up with Elden Ring, meaning that this is one of the last few videos, I think the last couple of videos, I think there's about 3 left inside the Demon Souls playlist. But yes, the old hero. So as you remember, there was a video about the Penetrator, right? That was a boss that I said I wish I didn't beat first try because it would have been a really enjoyable fight. Well, this is the reverse video. Welcome to the old hero. The ritual path is an extremely difficult path filled with these weird ghost wraith things in a quite a high level end game area. The old hero, it took me 11 minutes about 11 minutes to get through him because he hits like a truck. You do not want to go down the way to get to this boss again, so it is a boss that you want to beat first try, and I am very glad that I did. I took my time. Yes, it wasn't one of the most entertaining ones, a bit like how the Penetrator took ages despite the fact he only had 1 phase. This boss took about the same time as it did for me to get through 2 of the phases of the Souls of Cinder, but that boss had 2 phases. That was like 2 boss fights in one, but this one, oh my goodness. So for a start, he's got this massive sword. What you got to do is you got to roll around and stay behind the pillars. The key to this boss fight, however, is that you have to move slowly. As you can see, I've got all my health. I used up, I think, all of my Moongrass within this fight because he hits like a truck and I wasn't dealing out DPS. I wasn't taking risks. So the downside to this is I wasn't being aggressive enough. I was being a little bit of a chicken, you see, but it did get me through it. So as you can see, as soon as he turns, wait for him to turn around, then get behind him. That's when he starts going aggressive. When you realize this boss is blind, you can't run around, otherwise he's going to detect you. Ooh, check it out. Look how much of that, look how much of my health is taken off with that hit there. But yeah, you want to get behind him. As soon as you do get behind him, he's going to start looking for you behind the pillars again. You want to roll back and forth behind him and just take cover because he's going to start smashing through them procedurally, and then when you're ready, you pretty much have to get behind him. As soon as he's turned around, you hit him a couple of times. So the Uchiganta was a very good weapon too, which I used throughout a lot of my Demon Souls melee playthrough as well. As you know, I think I played the thief class within this game for the speed. I had speed, endurance, and dex based character. I don't really focus too much on the specificity of my builds either, but it does normally get me through. Uchiganta is a long-reaching weapon, which also makes me wonder if I'm gonna go for the samurai inside Elden Ring, or I'm gonna go for the warrior. It's definitely gonna be one of them, though. I have never really played with a pure magic playthrough before in Demon Souls. I like to use my melee, but as you can see, look, he was pretty much wrecking me. We're getting through all of these small healths, and we had to start going through the large moon grasses as well. He does hit like a truck. As you can see, I'm only about a quarter way through his health. He does have quite a long health bar as well. So for this fight, if you want to make it easier and get through it quicker, not spend 11 minutes on it, as you know, I normally get to these stages anyway, regardless. Sometimes I'm even severely grossly underleveled when it comes to dealing with fights. But this is why patience and don't get greedy, all the rules of the Souls games are really important within this fight too. Whoa, when he does that jump, you have to roll back again. I'm taking cover. I was rolling like crazy, and then you just need to keep going round and round and round. I didn't use lock-on for this fight, when normally I at least use lock-on and lock-off for the fights. I think the reason is because I wanted to make sure that I could pretty much turn my camera so I knew exactly where he was. His most devastating attack is when he jumps at you and he comes in with a massive slam with that, what is that, a saber, a curved crescent thing. As soon as you're behind him, you can see how I was trying my best. The only time I ever actually locked on was when I wanted to get some focused hits on him. 2 slashes in and out. I couldn't even afford the 3rd slash. I was playing a little bit overly cautious in this fight, so apologies if it drags out as well. But yeah, that is the strategy: slow and steady if you want to beat the old hero for the first time. As soon as he does that slam, we're taking cover behind the pillars. We've got just about enough health to tank the massive hits too. If he gets you with more than 1 hit, you're pretty much dead unless you have leveled your vigor to like really high or something. Mine was relatively high, but I was still taking a lot of damage. I could have stayed close range, but I think for this fight, it's mainly about staying long range. Remember, he is blind, so if you walk around slowly, if you dash around, he's gonna come for you. If you walk around slowly, you can pretty much get up behind him and get a few hits. So as long as you just stay out of the radius of the attacks, where he comes in with a combo, so he slashes, he's looking around. So you can literally see he's using his hand to detect the paces around. I'm waiting once again. I get behind him. All right, here we go, and then I focus in, getting a couple of hits. Ooh, I have to roll away. Sometimes he attacks too, and then he's gonna go mad. That's when he gets aggro again, and then you back the hell away straight away. So this is pretty much the strategy that I used to get through him. As well as this, yes, I've ended up with Elden Ring, so I am pretty excited. With Demon Souls finished, the last of the boss fights are probably the Maiden Astria boss fight, and then the last boss fight ever. So you saw me kill, I think it was Old King Alan or False King Alan, but there's two kings in the game. So there's False King Alan, and then there's actually True King Alan too. So that's going to be the final fight of the game. That kind of opens up in an area within your within the main hub of the game too. So there is that. We're almost halfway there through his health. I've got my Moongrass as well. But yeah, if you are going to attempt to take on this fight and expect to beat him first try, although he wasn't, you know, he wasn't like insanely difficult or anything, I was pretty well prepared for this fight. I mean, check it out. Ooh, that slash nearly finished me. So, and I had so much health. He was literally chowing through my health. So it wasn't a great win, but it was a slow and steady win. We got through the fight. If you know, unless you can pretty much dodge through his attacks, he was very slow and sluggish. My first time against him, so I didn't even get a chance to really read his moveset. It was completely blind. I was extremely lucky that I had a long-reaching weapon and a lot of Moongrass as well to get me through the fight. As you can see, with my Stone of Real Eyes, you could always take, if you really if you end up taking on him in a soul form. I hear that in soul form he is harder. Thankfully, I had already sorted that out and coming for this fight. Another tip that would be really good for this fight is if you wear some sort of armor that gives you a bit of physical resistance as well. Normally I'm seen wearing like something that's like a light armor or something, although I'm wearing light armor to a certain extent. For this area, I did put on some heavier armor because, oh my god, the enemies, they hit like trucks. So the idea is, once you do get his opening, strike for his legs. That's the best way I found would deal him consistent damage too. He's going to start chasing me again. Ooh, and check it out, you want to get out of his radius and just back away. Normally I would say stay mid-range with bosses, since that worked for a lot of the bosses in Demon Souls, but I think for this one, staying long range and staying out there, because his weapon's reach is massive. And if it hits you, it is basically over in 2 hits. So yeah, using the pillars and the area to your advantage. Camp around a lot once more. He's going to come once more. He's slashing again and again. It's really just a boss fight where you kind of have to stay patient. With Elden Ring, I plan to get out some initial gameplay of what I'm doing at the start of the game. I do believe in the earlier areas. I've also been watching some other streamers, and we got some fantastic content creators who do some really good content on it too. And I've just been getting so looking so forward to it. I hear that the bosses, you know, From Software really made some changes to the flow of the gameplay, to the pace too. I know that the Game of Thrones writer was involved in creating the fantasy to an open world Souls. I can't even imagine that. It sounds pretty good. Very, very interesting. Lots of areas too. And I understand there's lots of different ways to take down on bosses as well. I do not know how I will fare with 3 Souls games out of the way now. Souls of Cinder beaten recently. It's time to take on my next challenge, Elden Ring. I know that the bosses are faster and they can also be trickier too. And I was speaking to a lot of subscribers. They were saying it could be as easy as you want it to be, or as hard as you want it to be. So it offers a lot of customizability for your fantasy adventure. With that being said, I have to say, after playing 3 of them and somewhat reaching an amateur level, so becoming an amateur Souls player with a little bit of experience getting through the game here and there, and a rough understanding of the basics too, as well as sharing out these videos to help other players who are taking on their Souls journey too, with honest experiences. Check it out. Literally, he is literally smashing me. There was no dodging over here. This was a very, very unceremonious win. Slow and steady. I used up all my health. However, I had basically taken him down to the last chunk of his health using this strategy. As I said, patience is the key. This kind of fight basically gets you used to all of the games, all of the rules of the Souls games, which is don't get greedy, be patient, wait for openings, and use your area as well and your environment. He wasn't a fast boss at all. He was just an extremely annoying damage dealer. And make sure you go in well prepared. I would not have beaten him first try if I had not enough health to tank through this fight initially, and I would have to go through all of that horrid path again. So it is up to you whether you would like to go in, whether you'd like to find this boss and go in there with like no health or something, or not going in well prepared and stuff. This is not one that you can get away with. He does hit like hell, unless you are like insanely good at dodging, which I am not. I can dodge some bosses attacks or some attacks, but I could not dodge that massive scimitar. As you said, bait his charge attack out, he goes mad. The more you run around, the more he gets aggressive. He can practically hear you. I really enjoyed the fact that they created a boss that was pretty much blind. So in a way, the best thing that you could do to exploit him is kind of just be slow, bait him out, because he never knows where you are until you hit him. That's how you get around with this. He just paces up and down and whacks things randomly. So it's a really interesting concept actually too. Here we go. We're coming in with those slashes, getting a little bit more aggressive as we needed to finish him. This fight was going on for too long. He's in rage mode as well. But yeah, stay tuned and thank you so much for everyone. I hope you enjoyed this series. Old Hero is down.